right, well, welcome back to our last area shape we're going to look at, and that's called a trapezoid. I went ahead and put the definition of a trapezoid in case you didn't know what it is. It's a quadrilateral with one pair of opposite sides parallel. So, for example, here is an example, of a trapezoid. So you will notice that the top and the bottom are parallel. They will continue on. Obviously, these two sides are not parallel because they will hit each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can make a trapezoid in our notes. So I like to make my trapezoid, and the first thing I like to do is I like to make the bottom line. And then I'm going to make a parallel line, and I usually try and make the parallel line a little bit shorter, obviously. And then I connect like this. This would be considered a trapezoid. Another kind of trapezoid, remember, opposite sides parallel. A trapezoid could be this, right? Those are parallel. And this one here is not parallel to that one. This would be considered a trapezoid. So if you have a highlighter or a color, you can see that those are parallel. And those two lines are parallel. Knowing the parallel lines of our trapezoid is going to be something very important for finding the area of our shape. So the formula that you will see posted on posters and on worksheets is the area of a trapezoid. We take 1/2 times the height times, and we have a base 1 plus a base 2. Okay, so you can see it looks a little bit confusing and long, but once we do some practice problems, I think you're going to understand it. Yesterday, some of us found that we realized that 1/2 actually means we're dividing something by 2. And so we could actually take this trapezoid formula and we could actually say we're going to take the height times the bases and we're going to divide them by 2. So either way will work in solving our shapes. All right, well, let's practice here. All right, so the first trapezoid I'm going to ask you to draw is right here. You can see that I have my 2 parallel lines, and then I closed it up, and then I've labeled my sides. One of my bases is 8 inches, and the other one is 4 inches. And then my height, remember, height has to be perpendicular, has to make that right angle. Okay, we can't go up and down like this. It has to be straight up and down. I told my class today height. When we're looking at height, when you measure someone and I ask you I want to know how tall you are, you stand straight up like this against the wall. You don't lean sideways on the wall. I can't measure your height that way. So we want to make sure the height is straight up and down. All right, so let's go ahead and see if we can solve this. Now, if you notice, we're going to do some addition, and the addition is the base. Well, we already know that. We've learned from the other shapes. The base is usually the bottom. For our trapezoid, we're going to use 2 bases. We're going to use the 2 parallel lines. So let's go ahead and highlight that. So let's go ahead and let's use this first formula first and see how well you guys think you would prefer. So we have 1/2 times, all right, h, my height. What's my height? Well, my height right here is a 6, so I'm going to substitute in a 6 for the height. Then we're going to multiply that times my base 1 and base 2. Well, that's because there are 2 of them. We want to make sure. Some people call this base 1, base 2. It doesn't matter where you label them, but we want the 2 parallel lines. So I'm going to put 4 plus 8. All right, now I'm ready to solve my equation. According to order of operations, we always do our parentheses first. So let's write 4 plus 8 is 12. And we're going to copy everything else down. And so yesterday we did 1/2 times 6. Well, we know that 1/2 of 6 is actually, we're dividing it by 2. So 1/2 of 6 would be 3. And we take 3 times 12. 3 times 12 is 36. Remember our label, we're talking inches, so we're going to put inches squared. Now, because I want you to decide which formula, we could always do this one. It's going to be the same thing. I'm going to take my height, which is a 6. And I'm going to multiply it. I have to do my 2 bases. Remember, my bases are my parallel lines. So the first one, 4 and 8. All right, I've done all this, but I can't forget I have to divide by 2. All right, well, let's see. According to this, we're going to do our parentheses first. 4 plus 8 is 12. So I have here 6 times 12 divided by 2. Well, I have to know what 6 times 12 is, and that is 72 divided by 2. 72 divided by 2 happens to be 36. So as you can see, I get the same answer. Okay, so we're still doing our base times height divided by 2 like we did with our triangles. However, we have to add our bases together. All right, obviously I want to do some more practice. All right, so here's the new trapezoid I'd like for you to draw. You can see it's kind of makes 90-degree angles right here, so I could have put my height right here. This is 6 yards. This here would be 6 yards as well. All right, after you get the shape drawn, let's go ahead and write. The formula is 1/2 times the height times the base. But remember, we have 2 bases we're going to use. I'm going to find my bases. I like to highlight them so that way I can find them right away. The 2 parallel lines I'm going to use are right here. All right, let's substitute in for our formula. All right, so we have here 1/2 times the height. Well, the height, remember, makes a right angle. We have a couple right angles. That's 6. And now we're going to substitute in for our bases. Remember, those are the parallel lines that you and I highlighted. So I have an 8 and a 7. And now I'm ready to solve. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses first. And then copy everything else down. What is 1/2 of 6? If I take 6 and I cut it in half, the answer is 3. And now I'm going to multiply times 15. 3 times 15. If you need your calculator to do so, you can. Some of you might be here on the side of your paper multiplying that to see what it is. And it looks like our answer is going to be 45. However, don't forget, we need our label. And our label on this one is yards squared. All right, of course, Mrs. Hauck wants to do some more practice. Okay, here it is. Make your trapezoid for me. I made a long line here and then a short one here. If I made them parallel, connected. This side here is 6 inches. This side here is 3. And I found from the top parallel line to the bottom, or vice versa, is 2 inches. If you need to pause the video to continue making your shape, please do so. Let's see what our formula is. It's 1/2 of, or times the height, times the bases. Well, there are 2 of them, remember? All right, let's find our bases first before we begin. That makes it easier. We're going to highlight our 2 parallel lines. So that means I'm going to need those 2 numbers. All right, let's substitute in. 1/2, guess what? That stays 1/2. What's the height of my shape? Well, I can always turn my paper sideways, and I can see the height goes from here to here, and that label is 2 inches. So we'll say 2. I need my 2 parallel lines. One is 3 and one is 6. All right, remember, we always do a parentheses first. 3 plus 6 is 9. And then we're going to copy everything else down. So I have 1/2 times 2 times 9. Well, what's 1/2 of 2? If I have to cut 2 in half, that would be 1. And so now I have 1 times 9, which equals 9. Let's check our label. Our label here should be inches squared. Final answer. All right, we're going to do one more practice problem, and then I'm going to let you guys work on your homework. Okay, so here I have another trapezoid I'd like for you to draw in your notebook as best as you can. I tried to make these 2 my parallel lines. Obviously, as you can see, they're not quite perfect. And then I connected the 2 sides. I have 4 numbers on here this time because I want to make sure that we understand exactly what numbers we need to use. We have 10 feet on this side, 5 feet over here, we have 9 feet here, and then we have 8 feet in the middle. Once again, let's make sure we write the formula down so we don't forget it. 1/2 times the height times the base. But we remember that there are 2 bases, 2 of them. And I'm going to go ahead and look at my bases, make sure I remember. Here they are, because that's going to go right there for the bases. Okay, let's substitute in here. We have 1/2. What are we going to put in for the height? We have an 8 and a 9. We're going to use the 8. Why? Because it is where we've made a perpendicular or right angle. 9 feet is going at an angle that's not perfectly perpendicular. So the 9 feet is extra information we don't need. So we're going to put in our 8. What are our 2 parallel lines? It looks like we have 5 and 10. Order of operations, parentheses first. 5 plus 10, that's 15, and we're going to copy the rest down here. Okay, oh good, I'm glad we're going to do 1/2 of 8 instead of 8 times 15. 1/2 of 8 would be 4. Next, we have to take 4 times 15. Well, if I know 2 times 15 is 30, 4 times 15 has to be 60. Grab my label, and my problem is finished. All right, you have either a worksheet or a Google form to fill in. I think there are only 4 problems, and I will see you all next week. Enjoy your weekend.